with 5 minutes 20 seconds to go, and it sets up an exciting final stage to this clash as we see Josh Flores land.
Hey, hello, Britt.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
Good, and yourself?
Good, thanks.
Oh, nice scenery there. I like it.
Oh yeah, nice scenery, huh? Look, there's Nathaniel Curran back there.
Oh,
Look at
hey,
that.
Nathaniel, how's it going, bro?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Good. We bump each other. We met each other, but maybe you won't remember. I don't even remember when it was. Maybe in Sakurama or in Hawaii. I don't remember.
Yeah, probably Sacramento. I love that place.
Oh yeah, I was there this last weekend for the QS 3000.
Oh yeah.
I was doing the broadcasting with Brazilian icons Flávio Paderetz and Fábio Gouveia.
Oh,
Nice.
Those are some
Yeah, cool, man.
Our friend Zhao did pretty good, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm supposed to talk a little bit about it.
Oh, cool.
You're doing. He's in the international CI team.
Yes.
Oh yeah, cool, man. The boy's a machine, huh?
Yeah. We're excited about him. Super stuff.
Reminds me of a little bit about Neko Paderetz with a little Zeke Law and the power
Right.
in the.
Yeah.
First of all, thanks for being with us. And do you remember the first time you went to a Shaping Bay? When it was, and how old you were?
Well, no, I mean, I don't remember because I literally grew up in the surfboard factory. So I would have been in my dad's shaping room before I have any memories. It would have been that long ago that I was in there. I literally grew up, when my parents started Channel Islands, they were both working in it all the time. And so there was no place for me to be but there. And so I grew up in my dad's factory.
In Santa Barbara, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when do you remember the time when you decided that would be your profession, or that you realized that would be your life? Like,
yeah, I do. I grew up, I used to take the scraps out of my dad's shaping room and make little surfboards out of them, just whittle little miniature surfboards out of them and stuff. And then in like my early teenage years, I really became fascinated by shaping. So I would stand in my dad's shaping room door for hours and watch him shape. I mean, I literally think I spent thousands of hours just standing watching him to shape. And then it was in my later teen years, all of a sudden it felt like my hands were itchy. And like I actually wanted to do it. And I remember telling my dad, hey, I want to shape a board. And he set me up in his room to do it. And I can remember that he came home from work that day after I had done it. And he said to my mom, he said, Britt shaped a board and it's good enough to glass.
oh, really?
Yeah, that was the first and last compliment he ever gave me on my shaping.
The last one.
The last one, yeah.
Your dad started the business right after the McTavish visit Santa Barbara in the late 60s, right?
Yeah, right.
So he started in the Revolution era.
Yep.
And you started a little after the computer system program doing boards began popularized in the world. So can you put in perspective this two eras of the challenges of your dad faced it in your beginning, like similarities?
I think that when my dad first started doing boards in that transitional period from longboards to shortboards, I don't think there's been a more radical or pivotal period in the development of surfboards. That's probably the most crucial period. That's probably the period of the greatest advancement and progression that we've seen in surfboards. And it was a long time ago, and it still stands as, I think, the greatest progression. So for him to enter into that moment was fortuitous because he's really a progressive thinker. My dad was always about what's next. And how does it get better? And how do we go faster? And how do we turn better? And how are the boards, how do they perform better? He's always thinking in that way. So he was entering in it at just the right moment because it was all about progression. And my dad hates looking backwards. I mean, anytime he had to do fishes or single fins or any of that stuff, he hated doing it because he always wants to move forward. So I think it was perfect for him to start at that time. And, the other pivotal moment for him was later in the 70s when Sean Thompson came to town. And that was the next big level progression for him because Sean brought one of MR's twin fins. And it was 1977. It was the first time that my dad had seen a twin fin. And that was sort of cutting edge. And then Sean came back to town in 81 with one of Simon's thrusters and brought it to me.
Oh.
And that was the next big in thrusters for a young Tom Curran, and then that really began to advance that design. So he entered in at the right moment, and I came in the period where everything was about, Kelly was coming on the scene. So everything was about maximizing progression by minimizing volume. And my dad's theory was always the less wetted surface you could have on a board, the more a surfer could do whatever he or she wanted to on the board. So it was about decreasing the volume, getting more of the board out of the water, hence the greater rocker and the narrowness and the thinness and all that stuff. So I entered in right in that period in the 90s that a lot of people look at in surfboard design as sort of disparaging, that they say the boards didn't work and they got too rockered out and too narrowed. I think that's a wrong view. I mean, that's the way that progression happens, is a pendulum has to swing. And things can happen incrementally, but exciting things happen when you really swing for the fences, to use an American baseball term, when you really go big, and I think in the 90s, my dad and Kelly were going really big on design. And that's a large part of where we've landed today, is because they were willing to go that far. And so I entered in right at that time, which was really exciting to be on the front lines for that.
Oh, cool. And they kept like with the narrow, the needle nose thing and the big rockers from the early 90s until the first decade of the year 2000. Like I remember the Pipe Masters of 2008, Kelly against Chris Ward with that chocolate barrels. Yeah. Kelly rode I think was a 5.9 or a wide nose board. Do you remember that?
Was that the wide nose year? Was that when you were riding that little one? Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was a big change back then, huh?
Yeah. Kelly's, he's always wanted to push things like that. And before that, really, though, I think that the pendulum started to swing back to a little shorter and wider boards with Taylor Knox.
Oh,
so
okay.
My dad was making boards for Taylor Knox, and he was incredible in good waves, but in bad waves, he couldn't keep up with the Kellys and the Robs and all those lighter guys. So he came to my dad and said, I need something that's going to excel in small surf, which is when my dad came up with a flyer.
Oh, cool.
So that was, taking what he was doing for Kelly and the guys, but making it shorter, wider, and flattening the rocker a bit, and really creating this engine in front of the fins of a straight spot to drive off of and create speed. And I think that was a pivotal moment when the pendulum began to go the other way and boards started to get shorter, wider, and flatter, which is more like what we're doing today.
Oh, cool. Right after you said that, I remember the only Knox victory on the city level was in Rio in 1996 in very tiny waves. So he was using CI board back then? Yeah, I think so.
He was, yeah. I would almost guarantee you he was on one of those flyers. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. And 2 years after, he won the K2 challenge in Todos Santos.
Yeah, the big wave.
Crazy stuff. Big wave boards, CI, you guys were doing that also? Or for big waves too?
Yeah, we've always done that. That's always been a part of what we do. And actually the last couple of years, we've really sort of recommitted ourselves to that. We've been working with Pete Mell and some of the other guys at Mavericks, John Mell, his son. And that's been exciting. And of course, you saw that wave that Pete got last year. at Mavericks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was on a 910 that we had made them.
Ooh.
And since then, he and I have been working on refining that design. I just got him a whole new batch of boards for this Mavericks season. So yeah, I'm into the big board thing. It's kind of an exciting realm.
Okay. Your dad used to say that he was not an inventor. He was a designer. How do you define yourself? In the same way, like in the same pace or in the same path?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because you have a lot of models that you invented, but yeah.
Yeah, but I think what my dad was saying when he said that was, he didn't contribute anything. Like he didn't invent the twin fin, or he didn't thruster or something like that. He took those designs and tried to progress them. And he was always interested, again, in that idea of progression. So that's what he means by that. And I would say I'm the same way. The question I hate most in interviews is what's next in surfboards. People.
I won't be doing that.
Yeah, I've been getting that question since the early 90s, and not that much has changed. I mean, I just don't have that. I don't know what's next. I can't really envision it, but I do know how to take one of our current models and hear what a surfer says about, man, it's a little catchy here, or I needed to have a little more speed off the bottom here, or I need to turn a tighter hook in the lip here. I do know them how to tweak that design to get what the surfer is looking for. So that is design work and that is progression, but I guess it's on a small incremental level.
The future is now, huh? So
yeah, future is now. I mean, if you ask somebody 20 years ago what surfboards are going to be like in the future, nobody was right about it.
For sure.
I mean, we're still riding the same materials that we were riding in 1960.
So I was thinking Sean Curran and Slater they were idols and icons. And which are your guys, like your teammates that are in the same position? It's hard to put anyone in this hall of idols, but we can say Connor is, because of the position on the city level, is the biggest star of the company. How do you work with the free surfer guys in the competition side of it?
Well, a couple surfers that come to mind that are really exciting to work with are Dane Reynolds, number one. Ooh. Yep. And, he's arguably one of the best surfers. It's
still,
that's ever been. I mean, he's so exciting on a surfboard, and he's got a great mind for surfboards. Some surfers don't know anything about their boards and can't give you any input other than it feels good or it feels bad. But Dane is really tuned in. Dane's able to feel, increments of a 1/16 of an inch on fin placements. He's able to really narrow in on, hey, there's a little too much curve in the rocker right behind the midpoint. He's really smart and intuitive about surfboards. And he's really fun to shape for, and he's an incredible surfer, and we have a great working relationship. The other guy that I think is one of our marquee athletes that's fun to work with is Michael February.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and Michael February is cool because he has such an open mind, and he's so versatile. He can draw so many different lines on a wave, and he could sort of embody so many different spirits to approaching a wave. You know what I mean? He kind of can embody like a Buttons type vibe when he's approaching a wave, or he can be super high performance. And so he's fun to work with because he's got such a wide range of stuff that he likes to feel. And he's been a big influence the last couple of years. So those are a couple of guys that are really exciting surfers that I enjoy working with right now.
Cool. And right before we started, we were talking about João Vitor Chumbinho. Is a Brazilian guy on the team. How cool is that? How did you met him, and how did it started the relationship?
Yeah, it's great. We recently picked up a new team manager. His name is Brent Power, and he's actually sitting right over here right now. Say hi, Brent.
Oh, cool. Hey, hi, Brent.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you, bro.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
So Brent's from Australia, and he worked with our partners in Australia for years as our team manager over there. And then when Nathaniel Curran, who was our previous team manager, moved to overseeing our apparel here at CI. We brought Brent on, and he was the one who reached out to Zhao and brought him onto the team. And it's been great, because obviously Brazil is such a powerhouse influence in surfing and will be for such a long time. And we really want to be a part of that. We really want to be on the cutting edge of Brazilian surfing, which is a cutting edge of global surfing. And we really believe in him and his talent and his drive. And so we're stoked to have added him to the team. And we've only been working together for a very, very short time, but so far it's been great.
Oh yeah, such a nice guy and such a incredible surfer, huh?
Yeah. We have big hope for him.
Okay, cool. Speaking about Brazilian market, OG Flyer and Rocket Wide are the best sellers here. They are the best sellers anywhere else, or
the Rocket Wide always does good. The OG Flyer is a popular one. It's probably more popular in Australia than it is here in the States. But yeah, those are always really strong sellers. And it's because they're boards that are easy to ride and you can ride them in a lot of different conditions, and they excel in waves that aren't that good. And most of the time, most of us are surfing waves that are not that good. And it's hard to beat those boards for those kind of conditions for most people.
And how about the thing that people had that intention to ride the pro boards, even in a low skills area? Like, what you can say about this? The importance of the surfer have the consciousness of his skills to order a board, and how do you work with that?
I mean, yeah, the thing about surfing is you're supposed to be having fun, right? And you're only having fun if you're catching waves. So the most important thing is get a board that you can catch waves on. And once you're up on the wave, then there's a lot of different things that come into play. But the more waves you're catching, the more fun you're having. So that's the first consideration, is what am I going to be able to catch waves on? And if you're undervolumed, it's not going to be fun. And then as it goes to the other side, if you're over volumed, now it might not be that fun once you get on the wave, because you're on a bit of a boat and it's not sensitive and the other things. So most important thing is, what can I catch waves on? And then once I'm on the wave, what is the feeling that I'm looking for? And, there's a lot of surfers who probably don't have the skill for a high performance surfboard, but that's the feeling that they're looking for. So they're trying to make it work and they're on it. And I just don't think there's anything wrong with that. Right? Surfing is about the feeling. So if he or she is standing on the wave and they're getting the feeling that they want, maybe they're not doing the board full service, but the board is doing them service because they're having fun. So as long as someone's having fun, I think that's the right board for them.
Yes, it's such a personal feeling, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how about the thing? The Black Beauty was an icon for your dad's achievements. And do you have any model that it's that important for your path? Or?
Oh man, no. I mean, I'm still working on it. My dad had, he was in an incredible time to have the surfers that he had at the time that he had them, and to be able to develop that stuff with them. And, he did it for 50 years. And out of those 50 years has come, a couple iconic designs for sure. So I'm still working on that. I don't have anything like that. I'm still living in his shadow, trying to fill his shoes.
Okay, Britt. We have a couple of questions from the Prancha Nova social media outlets. The first one is from Tiago. In these 50 years of CI boards, which boards added more value to the brand? Like, maybe we just spoke about that, but can you recall other boards instead of just the Black Beauty? Or
yeah, it's a good question. Well, the best-selling board in the history of our company is the OG Flyer.
Oh,
the OG
really?
Flyer is 21 years old now. Hasn't changed since then. The one that we're days, just like that one. We've done other versions, but we've gone back to the original, and that's the board that we've sold the most of in all these years. Too bad Taylor Knox didn't get a royalty for that, huh? Sorry, Taylor.
Hey, sorry, Taylor, you listening? He don't care about Brazilian.
He cares. He cares.
He's a nice guy.
He's a great guy.
I love him. Victor asked, which is the most versatile CI board for a one board quiver?
Yeah, for a one board quiver.
Maybe you can answer that thinking about Brazilian beach break kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I hate to keep saying the same thing, but I think it's proved by what's selling the most down there. The Rocket Wide and the OG Flyer are just ride in all sorts of conditions. And we have new ones that are coming out that are kind of in that same area. The Happy Everyday is a version that's kind of like an OG Flyer type board, but more modern. And that's been a good hit with the team so far. But those boards are really good, versatile, all-around boards for down there for sure.
Okay, the clients are always right, huh?
Yeah, I mean, and for us, that's who leads the way is the surfers.
Oh yeah,
yeah. As a designer, shaper, I'm just trying to do what the surfers want, what they want to feel, what they want to experience. So they lead the way.
I have a second question in the same issue, in the same area. Like, what kind of feedback from the pro surfers that you apply on the regular surfers boards? Like,
yeah, all of it. It all comes into play. It's like the stuff that race car companies are learning in Formula One is eventually going to trickle down to the car that you drive on the road, right? Because it's on that bleeding edge of performance where things are learned and where technology is advanced and where refinements are made. So that always then trickles down. And so it's the same when you're making boards for the best surfers in the world, the things that you're learning with them are going to go into the boards for the average surfer. So there's always a direct connection. And the boards are not that different, really. I mean, for the most part, it's functions of outline or plan shape and volume. But the approaches to most of the rockers and the bottom contours are very similar.
And do you think there's a two-way road in this thing, in this dynamic? Like regular surfers boards, can you apply any of that thoughts and designs to the pro surfers boards? Like,
no.
That is, it's a one-way road.
Well,
I can see that.
The average surfers the regular surfers are progressing or sort of pushing their own design envelope in and of themselves, because we have all these designs that aren't written by our pro team, but they're written by those guys. Things like the mid-length or the Ultra Joe or the fish beard or the twin pin. Most of those things are written by normal surfers, and there's a lot of feedback that comes from them that goes into those designs. So it doesn't only come from the top level down, it also comes from this level into their own here. But it usually doesn't go from here back up to there.
And how is your relationship? You just said something about the middle length, and is a kind of a fever. And how did you relate to those fevers and those fashions and trends and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it was a trend before we did it. It seems to be trendy now, but Devin Howard, who's kind of one of the masters at surfing those kind of boards, began to work with us in marketing here and brought to us that idea for that sort of board, because that's what he wanted to feel. And he had worked with great shapers in the past, like Donald Takayama and others. So he brought a lot of different sensibilities to us and a perspective that we didn't always see. And that board's been a great hit for us. And it seems like now everybody's doing it.
Oh, cool. And how about the eco-friendly issues? How do you stand for that?
That's really led by the customers. If the customers demand eco-friendly materials, then we provide them. But the thing about eco-friendly is It's only as valuable as it is performance oriented. So something could be eco-friendly, but it has to work just as good as the other stuff. And then it's got to be cost effective. And what we found is that most customers are not willing to pay for something that's eco-friendly if it doesn't perform well, right? And it's not within reason. So that's really market driven. That's driven by the customers. We certainly have eco-friendly foams and EPS and stuff like that. And all that's relative within surfboards. Nothing in surfboards is truly eco-friendly. But we have the first surfboard factory in the world that was certified eco-friendly. We make eco-friendly EPS and epoxy boards all the time. And that's really important to us. You know, we're right here on the ocean in Carpinteria, right near Rincon. We're in a pristine environment here. It's very important for us to preserve the environment. But I think as an industry, we have a long ways to go in developing more eco-friendly materials. But it's market driven. The market's got to be willing to pay for it. And in surfboards, there's not a large profit margin. So there's not a lot of headroom to have spare money for research and development. Everybody that's making the surfboards is just kind of getting by.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I heard that before.
Yeah. So other industries is what we borrow from. I mean, it wasn't the surfboard industry that invented the resin and the foam.
Oh, yeah. Was the World War II, huh?
Yeah, exactly. It's World War II,
yeah.
Aerospace industry.
Yeah.
So I don't think we can rely on the surfboard industry. We just don't have enough resources to develop eco-friendly stuff. But when the market demands it and it exists, we'll be happy to grab onto it because we all care deeply about our environment.
How important is the representation of CI in Brazil? And speaking about numbers and money.
Yeah, well, it's certainly not our biggest market, but we would like it to be. You know, as I said earlier, we really believe in Brazil's desire in surfing, the talent pool there, the work ethic of Brazilian surfers has been astounding, as is evidence. You know, Brazilian surfers dominate the world scene. So we've been talking lately about how do we increase our presence in Brazil? You know, how do we support more young surfers in Brazil? And, you know, our recent team additions of Zhao and others is one of the ways that we're looking to do that. We want to support Brazilian surfing. We want to see it flourish there, and we want Channel Islands to be a part of it.
Cool. And how about the numbers of surfers on the CI international team? How many surfers do you guys have in these days?
I'm asking
about the crew
right now.
Yeah. Oh, it's good to have him here. Huh?
Yeah.
It'd be somewhere around the 50 mark.
50?
Yeah. Globally in all countries, our professional team would be around 50.
Oh, cool.
And then, but one of our big efforts the last couple of years has been our amateur team.
Okay.
So our amateur team would be much bigger than that. And what we really believe in at Channel Islands is investing in the next generation. So a lot of our energy is going toward the youth, young girls and young boys that are surfing, and giving them the best experience that they could have, being a positive influence in their lives, supporting them, working to make their dreams come true. So that's a huge part of our effort is developing the youth and helping them be stoked on surfing. We believe that, you know, if more kids in the world surf, the world would eventually be a better place. So we're working hard on that.
Cool, huh?
Yeah.
Last one, Britt. Which are the challenge that you think the near future, next year, are willing to put on your way in the company? Like,
yeah, our biggest challenge at Channel Islands is just making enough boards. The demand has sort of far outstripped our ability to make boards. So we can't make enough. All of our customers are upset at us. All our dealers are upset at us. And we're making boards as fast as we possibly can every single day. But we're really committed to domestic board building. And so, you know, in Brazil, we build boards in Brazil. In Australia, we build them in Australia. In Bali, for that market, we build them in Bali. In the US, we build them in the US. And we want surfers to build boards in the locations where they're surfing. And the biggest challenge that we've found is not the supply chain, but the labor pool. And so one of the
Okay.
things that we're trying to do at Channel Islands is inspire young people to get involved in board building. We believe that building boards is a really cool thing, whether you're hot coating or laminating or sanding or shaping or doing the fins. We believe that building boards is super cool. And we believe that it shouldn't be put in the hands of people in other countries that don't surf. We believe that boards should be built by surfers.
Yeah.
And the soul and the vibe of a surfer building a board goes into that board and contributes to the experience of the person riding it. So we want to inspire young people in places like Brazil and America and Australia, where we're building boards, to see that being a craftsman or a craftswoman that builds a surfboard is a beautiful thing, that you're making a real contribution to humanity because you're providing happiness for people, right? Like some of people's greatest moments of joy are on a surfboard. And if I'm building that board with my hands along with
Yeah.
my hands, and then we're giving it to that person, we're contributing to their joy, which means we're contributing to their well-being, which means we're contributing to the betterment of their whole environment and their existence. So I believe that board building is important, and I believe that it's important for surfers to build boards. So that's one of our goals and what we're trying to do. And that's probably our biggest challenge, is increasing the labor market and building surfboards globally.
Cool. That's a very nice last answer, Britt.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for being with us. So that's it, Britt.
Okay,
Thanks
cool.
a lot for being with us, man.
Yeah, my
And
pleasure.
maybe we bump into each other soon.
I'm sure that we will. I'm sure that we will. Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate the opportunity. See you guys.
All right. Cheers.
All right.
Cool.
See you. Thank you.